Sup guys, it's your boy Tello here, back to you with another video tonight, and tonight we're going to be talking about Paladin runes coming into Season 2 of Season of Discovery, Phase 2, whatever you want to call it, Season 2, Phase 2, next run, next area to explore, more people exploring the auction house, and things going absurdly high for green items like tiger shoulder pieces that are going for 500 gold. Whatever. The season of breaking my damn bank account. However, besides that, we're basically going in to basically a theory crafting video talking about what I personally would like to see for the future of Ret Paladin, maybe a couple other topics that we can discuss on like what areas these items can go to, and explore the class a bit more to see what WoW has planned, or Blizzard what they have planned for further exploration of the classes. And this goes for all classes, but obviously I'm a Ret Paladin. I'm talking about Paladins only. That's my class. I love playing this class. But yeah, let's go into it. So I found a really cool post on the Blizzard forums from this individual named Esseron. He made this post about 8 days, about a week ago, before the New Year's, and this is what he basically put a post on. And I read through it, and I really was enjoying the comments, seeing other people's ideas on what they would like. So we're gonna go through the post. We're gonna go through some abilities from like retail that we could talk about, and then we'll dive into like where they should probably slot some of these runes on Wowhead. So we'll go from the post here. So here's the topic. I'd love to see things like the following. Most of these are alterations of talents or abilities from TPC or Wrath. Now for Holy, something like a combination of Sacred Shield and Infusion of Light, and something that makes the healing rotation for Pallies more than just FOL spam in raids. Maybe something like the following. Infusion of Light. Your Flash of Light critical hits give the Holy Infusion effect to the target. The Holy Infusion effect lasts 5 seconds and causes the next Holy Light spell cast on the target to have a 1.5 second cast time and to grant a shield to the target equal to 400 plus healing power points that the shield cannot be dispelled. The Holy Infusion effect cannot occur more than once every 10 seconds. He also goes into Holy Guidance, which would be pretty cool. Healing power increased by a total percent of your total intellect, which I think that's a pretty neat idea. Empowering or Empowered Judgment. Increase the range of your Judgment spell to 30 yards. I believe Judgment is currently, what, a 10 to 20 yard spell? I could be wrong about that. Let's check Wowhead, just to see the base Judgment. And I should know this, but I don't know everything. So it's a 10-yard range, but imagine that being 30-yard range. I mean, we're basically getting into the ranges of, Exorcism, and I think Exorcism is or Exorcism, where is it at? Exorcism, here it is. Exorcism, a 30-yard range. So you would basically match the Judgment to Exorcism. That would be crazy. You could just be throwing judges everywhere, like you're freaking Iron Man, just pshoom, pshoom, pshoom. That would be sick, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I think it would be a little annoying. Not that Paladins are already annoying already for the Horde in Warsong, but it would definitely make them more annoying for sure. So maybe we'll talk about that one, but I do think that would be sick. Maybe that's a personal, point of view because I'm a fan of the Paladin. But regardless, let's go into protection. So combat expertise. Increase your total stamina by 15%, chance to hit by 3, and defense by 15. Does not stack with precision or anticipation. Now I think that's really cool. The fact that it's a natural rune that just increases your hit, so you can go down a different area in the prot tree rather having to go for precision or having to go towards areas like anticipation and stuff like that. I think that's pretty neat. I think you can like pick up a whole bunch of different unique talents. So like if we would go down the prot tree, instead of having to go to precision, maybe you can consider toughness. Maybe you can consider other things like blessings of kings, shield specialization, ignoring anticipation, maybe going somewhere else, like improved hammer. It all depends, right? Like, phase 2, there's gonna be a lot of experimenting with, each tree from holy, prot to ret, but it's gonna be definitely something interesting to see what people do in phase 2. But this would add combat expertise would add a sense of freedom to the talent tree, and I think that's what I like the most about that. He also goes into some combos of judgments and the just of Shield of Righteousness, like maybe Shield of Righteousness. Instant attack, 7-second cooldown, slams the current target for 300 plus X percentage of your block value as holy damage. Additionally, your judge spell reduces melee attack speed and casting speed of the target by 15%. That sounds really nice. I also think that sounds kind of nutty in PvP, like especially if you're fighting like a rogue and reducing their melee attack speed, or even fighting like a mage or a caster, reducing their attack speed, or fury warriors, that are all based on attack speed. That's kind of nuts. That would be sick, but these type of things, when we're theory crafting, you got to understand a lot of these things can be extremely broken. Like we're not saying that this is set in stone, but we're just crafting, coming up with ideas, what we think would be cool for paladins. And I'm sure a lot of other classes go through this too, so take note, this is not final stuff. We're bullshitting around, okay? But besides that, let's go into the next one. Mind over matter. Increase all resistances to schools of magic by an amount equal to the X% of your intellect. Spell penetration got to be too high by the end of Classic. I mean, honestly, this is what he's basically saying from his words, which he's not wrong. But I think that would be intriguing, like increasing how much resistances, I always mess that word up, when it comes to certain types of PvE content that have, high certain damage, like whether it's like a fire damage or shadow damage, like what we're dealing with already in BFD. A lot of people just kind of put shadow resistance damage on their cloak instead of doing other stuff. But unless you get the trinket, or like the Murloc egg or whatever, but like you can get shadow resistance from the raid itself, and plus shadow resist pots, so it's not, you don't even really need it. But regardless, that's off topic. I think that would be cool if they added something like that for prots. That'd be dope. But let's go into the big boy class. All right, the retribution, what it's all about, what you all been waiting for, okay? Because this is the spec that matters, right? Let's go into Sheath of Light. Increase your spell power by an amount equal to X% of your strength and X% of your intellect. I think that's amazing. Paladins benefit from spell power. It's really cool stuff. Like the fact that paladins benefit from a certain attribute and benefit from obviously main handing, I think it makes me have the most fun with the class overall, because the fact that I can, have a big burst from a judge, from maybe, twisting off from a seal of justice into a command, or twisting with seal of command into righteousness, or just using seal of martyrdom straight out with righteousness twisting, or just divine storm, Crusader Strike into a regular Hodge into a Seal of Command, you know what I mean? Like, spell power works in a lot of ways, and if you're increasing that value based on the amount of strength and intellect the individual has, and that's without buffs or anything like that, this can be nutty. That I could see that being completely broken if there's a lot of strength and intellect stacked. Maybe not too much, but it would definitely do a good burst of damage. So that would be kind of sick. I would enjoy that. Yeah, so on to the next one. Seal of Sanctity. Similar to Seal of Vengeance, with a stacking debuff that increases all holy damage. Something that is synergistic with a Smite Priest. Interesting. So kind of like Seal of Vengeance. Now, Seal of Vengeance is, obviously we know this as Paladins. I keep going to this one. I don't know why I think I was opening this for something else. Seal for Vengeance, right? So, gives you 3% bonus to physical and holy damage you deal for 8 seconds after dealing a critical strike from a weapon swing. A spell, or an ability, and Vengeance also procs off of weapons that have procs on it. So, like, Hydra, I believe Fathom Blade as well. These style of weapons, and that's why like a lot of people go like deep into Vengeance, because normally as Ret you would go, especially when you're 11, maybe improved Ret 2 points into it. Some people choose Sanctity in dungeons over improved Ret. They're both good, but you would go 2-hand weapon and then deep into Vengeance and then Repentance if you're doing PvP. It works in PvE as well. But regardless, I think that would be pretty cool. Having something that increases your holy damage while having the Vengeance proc and benefiting from both, that would be a lot of output damage, especially with burst damage, because that's what Paladins do, is big burst damage when they get that big 2-hand swing off, or if you get that big judgment off with the command, or a big divine storm. It's a big massive burst amount of damage. So that would be pretty sick. And then we got Righteous Retribution. Whenever you deal critical strike with an offensive ability, your Hammer of Justice ability is immediately refreshed. Now, I think, personally, this is pretty sick. I like the concept of it, but my counter to it is that maybe it doesn't immediately refresh it, but it like brings the cooldown to like 10 seconds. Because there could be a world where if Hammer of Justice is just always instantly refreshed, nonstop, it's just going to be a nightmare for a lot of people that are trying to run away from a Paladin. Like, obviously, any class that's, kite based that tries to keep distance, do damage, and whether you have a pet or you're a caster, you're trying to not get locked into one place. You obviously don't want to deal with somebody like a warrior, a rogue, or a paladin up close, right? So you want to keep distance. Having Hammer of Justice or Jeez, I can't even speak right now. Hammer of Justice being able to immediately refresh if somebody just crits you. Unless this is like a yellow crit, or we're talking just a normal big white crit, depending on how much agility that paladin has stacked, which equivalent to the crits, that can be nuts. That could be actually nuts. I could see that being a PvP god tier rune, depending on where it goes. But I don't know if it should be an instant refresh. Maybe down, like if it was from you just used it and you're fighting, and like it's coming down from 60 seconds or whatever, and then maybe it goes down to 5 seconds immediately. But then again, you have to understand too, the later we get into these phases, people are going to start specking differently. Like maybe people might go for improved Hammer Justice. I personally wouldn't. Like I'm going deep ret. That's what my playstyle would be. So I won't get the benefit of this. But I do think it's really cool that this can be an option. Maybe down the line, post 60, like we're all at level 60, this can be something that I can agree with. Or maybe, who knows? I mean, maybe when it comes to 50, this would be something nuts. But having an immediate Hodge would be insane, because that's on top of you getting Repentance, you have Hodge, you have a Daze from the Avenger Shield. I mean, and if we're talking about open world PvP, just like throwing dynamite, you know what I mean? Something to stun him again if you're really sweating and try-harding at that point. I mean, the list goes on, and that's on top of your defensive utility. So this is kind of nuts. I agree with it, but I don't. It's a half and half. Listen, as a paladin, I want all the broken shit. Wait, we're on full cam. Zoom in. I want all the broken shit. But I also want the game to be fun for everybody. I don't want people like, saying, my class is OP. Hashtag hunters. Nerf the fucking wind serpent, please. That's all I ask. Besides that, regardless of that, hunters are great. But these are just now. This is just this dude's post. I think Esseron, this individual, did a great job. Maybe I'll just post on his reply here. Maybe I'll make a reply saying, "Hey, listen, I covered your post on a video. I think this is a great post." And then we were talking about it. But besides that, I want to go into other abilities that I was looking online that might be similar to some of the stuff here, but it's mainly more on the damage side, so towards the ret area. These are just abilities I was looking at retail and seeing if they were to add this in to classic sod, I would think would be intriguing. But of course they would have to nerf the values of a lot of these abilities. So don't take the face front values of what you're about to see as like that's it, you know what I mean? So let's look into this. Fist of Justice. Each holy power spent reduces the remaining cooldown of Hammer of Justice by 1 second. Now this goes into what we were just talking about with like that other Hammer of Justice ability, I think it was Righteous Retribution, where instead of it being immediately refreshed, if you hit with certain holy power, maybe this can be a rune, it would refresh the cooldown of Hammer of Justice to go down quicker, so you can get your Hodge back faster, instead of it being an immediate refresh. So I can see this being a much fairer system. I can see this being a much fairer system compared to the posts of Righteous Retribution. But either way, I would be happy. Let's close this tab. Greater Judgment. Judgment causes the target to take 20% increased damage from your next holy power ability, and then for protection, Judgment causes the target to take 40% increased damage. Now, obviously, this wouldn't be, we're just focused on Retribution, right? This 20%, maybe they could change this down, but basically saying Judgment can be more powerful, that it's going to dish out more damage, which is what I like. So causing the target to take 20% increased damage from your next holy power ability, depending on what holy power ability you do, whether that's, a Seal of Command, Avenger Shield, etc., right? That is pretty sick. I like the concept of that. And they can nerf the value down to what's fair for Sod. And I think that would be a cool rune. What do you guys think? Do you think that would be a sick rune? Because I think it would be too. Actually, I got to open this back up because I got to fix these for my thumbnails for my videos. So let's leave these up. Anyways, for punishment. Successfully interrupting an enemy with rebuke. I believe you can. I'm assuming they're saying you could do this with Avenger Shield too. But let's just say this is rebuke. All right, let's keep it as just rebuke. It casts an extra blessed hammer or hammer of righteousness at the individual. Now, I think it's a cool concept where the interrupt has almost a damage to it, where not only is it any regular interrupt, but now it's a damaging ability plus an interrupt. That could be a little OP because then you're gonna have to be like, all right, well then every other class that does interrupts needs some type of damage backup following the interrupt as well. It's almost like you're doing the interrupt and plus you're hitting them with something. I do think that's a little nuts. This is a retail thing, don't get me wrong. This has nothing to do, in SOD, but it would be interesting to see if they were to play around the rebuke with the Paladin and see what they would add more to it. I'd be intrigued either way. I don't think they're going to do this. This is one of my least favorite ones on the list, but just something to talk about. Justification. Judgment damage is increased by 10%. And I think that would be a solid rune. If they didn't, we'll go with the 20% and just say, okay, judgment's increased by 10, maybe 15 at least, depending on how much damage Paladins are going to be doing at 40. I'm fine with justification as a rune. And depending on where it goes, that we'll talk about that in a second. Let's hold that for later on, Tello. Let's not jump ahead. But that's pretty cool. Blade of Justice. Blade of Justice, Blade of Vengeance, pierce an enemy with Blade of Light, dealing this crazy percentage that they're talking about, which is based on holy damage, right? Now, I think this is a cool ability. It's like a short range 12-yarder attack, has a 12-second recharge. I think it's pretty sick. I think it would be cool to have a strike style of ability like a Crusader Strike, because Crusader Strike is great. It's very nice to have Crusader Strike to just basically, proc more mana regeneration for the Paladin, based on that percentage value. I think that's awesome. But having another ability to, swing around with, I think that would be awesome as well. You know what I mean? The more abilities, the more fun a class is. You know what I mean? And then you get to play around and theory craft on what you want to do for damaging. So I think it would be cool, obviously nerfing these values down, and to see what they would do with that if they were to add something like this to the game for a Rep Paladin. Let's go on to the next one. Templar's Verdict. It's an instant ability. Unleash a powerful weapon strike that deals 163 whatever percentage holy damage to an enemy. So it's a little similar to Blade of Justice, where it's just another instant swing ability, kind of like a Crusader Strike. Whatever they decide to go with, even if they don't do this, right, that's totally fine. If they want to go with another instant ability, or if it's casting ability, I'd be very intrigued to see what it's like. But I think it would be cool to have another variety option, like, Divine Storm in a way, where it just does damage, and it counts as holy base damage. Whether that's stacks of holy damage, dot damage of holy, whatever. I think it would be cool. Blessed Champion. Crusader Strike and Judgment hit an additional 2 targets, but deal 50% reduced damage to secondary targets. Now, I think this is sick. I think this is really cool. So just hear me out, right? You're on PvP. You're battling in the Arathi Basin. You see one individual. Boom! You judge him. Hold that. Stiff arm. Lawrence Taylor. You know what I'm saying? Put it right in their neck piece, right? And then out of nowhere, hit another man. I blocked the camera. You know what I'm saying? Dorito bag. Hold that. Lay's. Ranch. Coca-Cola. You know what I'm saying? But give it to them light. Maybe Diet Coke. Salad. It's not going to hit as hard, but you're going to feel it. You're going to feel that judgment. And then this stacks based on your spell power, based on, what seals you're using, etc., and obviously gear goes into play. But I think that would be cool, having the fact that, the holiness is just hitting, boom, boom, you're Iron Man. I think that would be sick. This is just stuff to explore. I mean, I think these are ideas to look into, and plus, it's going to do reduced damage to the secondary target, but the first target's going to feel it. But I think it's cool that it's almost like it bounces like Avenger Shield in a way, just for the targets being in maybe a close proximity. If they're not in a close proximity, it shouldn't count. But if they are, I think it would be cool. So that's just an idea. Sick. Really sick. Final Reckoning. Call down a blast of heavenly energy, dealing a certain amount of damage of attack power, holy damage to all targets in the target area, and causing them to take 30% increased damage from your holy power abilities for 12 seconds. Now, I think this is kind of nuts. I think this would be something they would add at like 60 if they wanted to. Obviously, with the correct percentage values and having, you know, a certain amount of individuals take a certain percentage base damage without having it being too broken. I think a 30R range might be a little too nuts. It is a 1 minute cooldown, but it is a big ability. So that would be something kind of sick to spice up the class. I mean, this is Season of Discovery overall, right? Who the hell knows what they're going to do with all these other classes? I mean, listen, I'm just going to tell you right now, and this is one of my concerns. If they give Warriors Titan's Grip or whatever's Titan's Bane, where they could start getting the 2 big handers in 2 hands, imagine they give them that. There's a chance. So, us Paladins, we need to keep up, all right? We need every little thing we have. And I'm representing for all the classes all across the world, okay? Hitting corners of them Lolos, girl. I don't want to start spitting and rapping at you. Sorry, apologies. Wrong video. Wrong design. However, besides that, I just think it'd be sick. Let's move on. Penance. Your damage over time effects deal 10% more damage. Now, this goes back to, like, you know, what I was saying earlier. Maybe some holy dot damage over time, based abilities, stacking holy damage on them, whatever it is. Whatever type of holy dot damage. I think this would be a cool rune, or if they add a new ability, having something that, you know, just spices up the class, almost like you're making the holy, or even if this benefits holy, you know, with concentration, if they do something with that where concentration, you know, it stacks up like, you know, a dot style damage or an overtime damage effect, and penance is just pumping it up. I just think I think I was making a pizza right there, my bad. Regardless of that, I'm hungry. I think it would be cool. Now, this is where we get to the end of the video, right? I want to talk about where they would add these things, because at the current moment, we have a lot of runes that are placed in the chest area. We have a lot of runes that are placed in the hand area, and especially for the legs. The legs have a lot of good runes, and that are really good. Now, whether they decide to let us move these runes to different areas of our gear is debatable. And maybe some people won't like that, maybe some people will, but I have a really high feeling, and this is just something in my gut that is telling me that they are going to be adding a rune to the sword slot eventually, to the head slot, and to the waist slot. They could do something with the cloak, maybe they do something with the bracers. I'm choking on my spit over here. I apologize. Forgive me if you guys are hearing that. I got to get, you know what it is? I got to get some water in me, right? I've been a little, you know, under the weather lately, but your boy's representing. Don't worry. But regardless of that, yeah, I think it would be sick if they added to like the waist, the head, or the sword, adding more rune slots to spice up classes to do more damage. And I think these are the things that Blizzard needs to consider, especially when it comes into Phase 2. Because let me tell you something. Phase 2 is going to be fun. Do not get me wrong. Let's zoom in on the camera here. Phase 2 is going to be fun. But you're going to get to a point where it's going to slow down. And you're going to be knocking out Nomergon. You're going to have that thing on farm every week. You're going to be already revered or exalted with, you know, Warsong Gulch, getting all your gear from PvP vendors, doing Arathi Basin, which I think Arathi is going to be really fun. And it's going to be fun. Don't get me wrong. But you got to spice up the classes, all right? You know, sometimes you need, you know, you throw in some salt and pepper. You need to throw in some cayenne pepper. All right, get in some seasoning on that bitch. Let's get that rotisserie chicken tasting, you know, unbelievable, slapping, miraculous, tasty, delicious. And that's what I'm basically saying, is they need to consider adding more runes to more different slots, whether you can move around your runes or not. Maybe that would be too broken, but I think honestly, you know, from what I heard with the data mines and the leaks, that they will be adding more runes and more things to do. And I love the quest to do the runes. I think it's really fun. If you do it like 1 or 2 times, after a while, if you do it over and over again, it could be tiring. But regardless, that's all I got to say for this video. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm nuts? Do you think I'm losing my mind? Should I not do these videos? Am I a fucking idiot? I feel like I am sometimes. However, I'm having a blast with WoW. And I hope all you guys are too. That's it for the video. I don't know how to end this shit. I'm gonna get out of here before I say something really fucking stupid. Love you guys. Peace out. and keep on keeping on. Peace.
If you wanna dance.